Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching. This is Vito Africa, and today's show is Vito Lifestyle. I'm your host, Celestina Pendo, alongside.
Emmanuel Ghana.
Yes, last week on Friday, we had the KCSE results being released, and we saw schools performing very well and others performing below average. We also had students performing very well and others are below expectations. And we are all wondering who is supposed to be blamed. Are we supposed to blame the parent, the teachers, or the learners?
I think we should not blame anyone.
Uh-huh.
Rather, we should just congratulate all of them. I want to believe that everyone is able differently. So, in fact, I do not like it the way you are putting it that some of them were getting below average. I think they really performed well according to their abilities.
Okay, according to their abilities, they performed well, but according to the 844 system, that is where we are saying that they performed below average.
But again, there is a discussion that is ongoing on the Senate.
Uh-huh.
In the Senate. I think there is that discussion because most of the schools are now, they actually performed the way you are calling it above average, but in this
Uh-huh.
case, it was now an abnormal case. You see, sometimes back, I think uh, around 6 years ago,
Uh-huh.
the performance was very well because I remember sometimes back we had around 141 A's Kenya wide, but things have changed, and there is a belief that some things somewhere are not well.
Okay, yeah, I understand that. So, leaving alone the fact that these kids performed according to their different abilities, today we want to talk about are these parents, are parents or the role of parents in the education of their kids? Should the parents be involved actively, or should they let these kids go to school and that marks the end of it? So, before we even continue, with me here, I have a gift. And so let me gift you my viewers. I have the Airtel credit, and I'll read the digits: 96153136264081.
So yeah, I think parents should be involved in the education part. Sometimes back we were discussing, I don't seem to remember what exactly we were discussing about, but I know as a parent,
Yeah.
they are one of the biggest stakeholders in the education sector. We
Yes.
cannot talk of education if we do not mention the parents. So apart from the teachers and the learners who are now taking the active part, again the parent should also take another very strong active portion in that whole segment. You realize if the parents are not taking any part, then most likely the students are going to be affected. So the involvement of the parents is core, and it is a must. It is a must. It's not a request. There's no way that as a parent you just sit down and watch your kid just being taken care of by the teacher and you assume that is education. When we talk of education, the parents must get they must get involved in there.
Yeah, so basically, education begins at home. We say charity begins at home. The same thing. These kids, when born, they have nothing in their minds. The mind is inert. So the parents are the ones who are supposed to start initiating this education process. So the performance of these kids basically depend on how the parent is involved in their education. If the parent is involved actively, then you will see that one will be evident in the performance of the child. If the parent is not involved, you will definitely know that the parent has sidelined this child. And so, with the active involvement of the parent, you find out that when the parent is actively involved, the child has confidence, and you'll see this child being active everywhere because now the child feels that there's someone who cares about me here in school and also back at home. But when the parent distances themselves, then that is where you draw the line, because the kid now knows that there is no one following up my progress. Yeah. And then maybe how should these parents get involved?
The how part is very wide.
Yeah.
There are very many ways of how these parents can get involved in this education part. One, of course, before this kid gets to school, there are the basic preparations that are normally done. That is for the young ones, the youngsters in this case. I'm not so sure of the system nowadays. I hear of PP1s. I remember during our days it was more of just the nursery school. So now, for those small kids, of course, there is the preparation. There's no way that the kid will just wake up and walk themselves to school.
Yeah.
So that is the first bit. Then there is this other part. You see, sometimes you just look at the parents, and some of them are seemingly careless. They do not want even to understand how the kids are faring. So they just think it's a matter of just paying the fees. But in this case, you need to do a follow up, a checkup of whatever is being done in school. I like the way some of the kids, especially the ones who are in the private schools, you realize that even if you paid your school fees and the kid now hears from the classroom that the teacher announces maybe by tomorrow, make sure your parents have paid their fees, they'll make sure you walk with them to the schools so that they confirm or they are certain that indeed you've paid the fees. So I like the way they are taking things seriously. But on this other end, the public schools, most of the public schools, especially the schools in the villages, you realize that there's nothing serious that is happening. Now, in such scenarios, then we expect the parents to do a very close monitoring. One, a parent should always give themselves time, even if it's at least once in a week or maybe a month. But the presence of a parent in a school matters a lot to this kid. Sometimes you just see the kids are not performing, or rather they are not serious with the study simply because they know that no one no one is bothering about whatever they are doing in schools. But the moment now the parent takes that responsibility of going to the school each and every time, then you realize that their morale is actually boosted. And at the same time, they start now taking this education seriously. And that's why I think in some other schools we have what we call the academic clinics. But now that is more of the secondary school part. But when we talk of the primary school, I think that is where most of us, maybe, or most of the parents are failing, because you need to do that close monitoring. It's very important. That
Yeah,
is what I
sure.
think.
So, as a parent, one is supposed to make those follow ups. You don't just take the kid to school and let it be the kid and the teacher. Because you, being the parent, you know the weaknesses of your kid. So, when you take that child to baby class, PP1, PP2, you know where that child needs a lot of attention. So, it is you as a parent to take up the role and let the teacher know that my child is able differently, or maybe is a slow learner, my child is hyperactive and all that, so that the teacher now can strategize on how to deal with your child. But just imagine you take the kid to school and let the kid there without telling the teacher anything. What will happen?
And by the way, just before, maybe I think the viewers can react to that. But just before we get into what maybe they might bring along, I think there's some other things that the parents also are failing in some way. When it comes to schoolwork, we ought to be very independent. Most of the time, you realize that most of the parents seem to be taking sides with their kids.
Yeah,
Now,
true.
now they tend to look at the teacher as an enemy. The moment you start showing your son or your daughter that you are taking sides with them, then you'll actually be you are planting something in them, which later on it might cause some harm. There is no way that you will get into a school setup, then you are always against the teacher. You should always learn how to collaborate. And that's why I started by mentioning that a parent is just one of the strong stakeholders. So the moment you start seeing one of the stakeholders as maybe an enemy in that case, then there is a failure somewhere. And to our viewers, remember that you can always follow us on our social media handles. On Facebook, you can follow us at Vito Africa, and on Twitter at Vito Africa 1. And my friend here has already given you a voucher, an Airtel voucher. I'll be giving you a Safaricom voucher, but to start with, let me give you the first four digits. The first four digits. So we have 7759. 7759.
Okay, yeah. So, as you've said, that the parent is one of the strong stakeholders in this child education, and now you find out that these parents usually put the blame on the teachers. Yet, the teachers usually give out a lot of work. They give out homework, and when you're told that this is homework, this means it is supposed to be done at home. But what happens in our schools? You find out the kid comes back with the work undone. So, what do you want the teacher to do?
And in some other funny scenarios, you also get the parent now doing that work on behalf
Yeah,
of the kid.
on behalf of the kid.
So now you realize that it is a homework, yes, but it is done by the parent, not the kid.
Yeah, and then with the introduction of the new curricula, you hear parents really complaining that this work is beyond this child's ability. You're not the one supposed to do it. So as a parent, you're just supposed to follow up, to make follow up. Make sure that you check your kids' progress, you check the books and see if there's homework to be done.
You
And
give some
then
guidance. You see,
you
sometimes maybe the work can be kind of tricky, but the only thing that you're supposed to do is just guide them. And I know sometimes maybe the parents are looking at the homework and it is seemingly difficult or hard. So you see, the parent is attempting, and they also end up missing everything too. But I think we need to just show the kid that this is how you supposed to do it, to avoid missing out also whatever has been given as a as a homework.
yeah, sure. So uh, basically, as a parent or in education, we have the three stakeholders who are supposed to play their roles very well. When one of them fails, that means the performance will not be as expected. Another thing, when these parents are actively involved in their children's education, it simply means that these kids will take education seriously, because now they know that when I fail here in school, um, maybe the teacher will not be happy about it, and when I go home, where I should, or that is the place I should be at peace, there will be no peace, because I've also failed and I've not met my parents' expectations. But when you see, when it's only the teacher who wants this kid to succeed, then that is where we have the problem. Whereby you find that the students, 40 students in the same class, we have maybe 10 getting A's, and then we have like 15 who are being taught by the same teacher getting A's. Where this is coming from and where this is coming from, when maybe as a parent you want to shift the blame to the teacher. Yeah.
There is there are three terms I want us to look at.
Yeah.
Encouragement, or rather encouraging, motivating, and of course discouraging. But just before we look into that, allow me again to give you the second four digits. So we have 8537. That means we had 7759 and now 8537. So you see, in some other instances, I've seen some parents who are kind of discouraging the learners, or rather their kids in this case. There is no way that you'll get into a school setup, a school in this case. The teacher is telling you maybe your son or your daughter is performing poorly in this subject, and you end up telling them that while I was in school, I also used to perform the same way. You see, just imagine this a teacher of mathematics in this case telling you as a parent now, your daughter or your son has an E. So I think we should see the best way this kid can improve their grade. Then now when we talk of the discouraging, encouraging and motivating, you can imagine a parent saying that in our whole clan, no one has ever gotten something above E.
That is discouraging.
That is discouraging.
Yeah.
And which a parent should never do that.
Yes.
You see, as even if you are getting E's, that one should not happen. Though sometimes I think it's also wise if you can show your results to your kids and make sure you guide them
that will be disastrous.
accordingly. But you guide them accordingly. You see, sometimes you just let them understand that probably if you did not perform well, maybe you are suffering kind of. So you guide them appropriately according to what you are getting. But as you have mentioned it, it's now discouraging to see a parent telling a teacher in front of that student, in this case, or that pupil or the kid, that I used to fail. So what do you expect? Now you see, if you do that, then you are actually killing your son or your daughter. Then there is this other thing on the motivation part. There is no that your daughter, your son is getting an E, and you are there telling them that I knew you will get nothing. We need to motivate our kids, right?
Yeah, sure. You see that E is even an effort that child has made. So you're supposed to.
You mean E is for effort?
Yes, it is an effort, because you might find the child has an E of maybe 10, 17. That means he has done or she has done something. So you need to encourage them and tell them that if today you have this E, can you move maybe to a D or a D minor next time? Now they'll see that, oh, so I have the potential, instead of maybe now telling them that the whole family, even your father or your mom, scored an E.
So E is for effort and D is for. Okay, fine. So so now we've talked of the discouraging part.
Yeah.
That parents should always avoid that. Let us avoid discouraging these kids, because everyone is able differently. That is what we started by at least defining some of these terms. Then now we are talking of encouraging the learner. If at all they are performing, you've said efforts, they are getting efforts in, in this case the grade E. There is always a room for improvement.
Yeah, sure.
And that's why after even the results were announced, we do not expect to see a parent lamenting that my son, my daughter didn't do well. I think there is always room to do something else.
Yeah, because getting an E or maybe scoring that D doesn't mean it's the end of everything. These kids have maybe hobbies, and maybe there are things that they are passionate about. They can go ahead and pursue those things.
Now, before you tell us what it means now by motivation, because again a parent should motivate the learner, right? Both as much as we know that the teacher, I want to believe that most of the teachers are already doing that, but the part of the parents. So before you tell us how best a parent can motivate their kids, allow me again to read these 4 digits before you become a winner. So we have a 5946. 5946. Remember, you now have 4 more digits for you to earn yourself this Safaricom voucher. And remember to share your comments, share whatever we are doing with your friends, and always make sure that they subscribe. This is Vito Africa. So tell us about motivation now. How best can a parent motivate their kid?
Okay, so as a parent, you're supposed to always be positive. Never give negative comments to your kids, because one you can just tell them that you've done something good. You can tell them this is good work, a job well done. You can prepare a special meal for that child, so as to see that okay, I tried in school, I scored this grade and I ate this. So next time the child might say, I want to eat maybe pizza. So you tell the child, get this grade or get these marks, then you will enjoy that. That there's something the child is working towards achieving. I remember when we were young, back in primary, you will be maybe number 3, and then my mom will tell me, if you get to number 1 next time, I'll buy you a new school bag. And then I would work towards achieving that goal of becoming number 1, so that I get that bag. So always get something for this child. Set maybe targets, or tell them that when you get this, when you do this, I'll get you this, so that this kid now will work hard so as to achieve those goals. You know, working without any direction, or maybe working without anything ahead, might feel a bit not encouraging and motivating. And then also avoid these negative comments, because most of our parents don't even promise to buy us things, but instead, when you go back home with those grades, they always throw these negative comments. You can't just tell your child that you're never going to make it. Every time you've been scoring E's, even if there was an F, you would get that F. What do you expect that child to do? The child gives up, lost his or her confidence, and assumes that, okay, so I can't do anything, because my mom or my dad even told me that if there was an F, I would get it.
I think that's the reason as to why we sometimes see very young kids committing suicide.
Yeah.
They are under maximum pressure. In physics, people talk of maximum pressure. So you can imagine your parent, of course, for a school setup, the teacher will always tell you that because they need to see you performing well. Then the worst comes when you get back to your homes and the parents are there. They are at your neck. Why are you performing this? So these kids now end up committing suicide. I love the fact that you are always number 3, and that's why your mother used to tell you that you'll get a new school bag. Did you manage to get one? No, do not answer that one. I remember during our time, we were, of course, 3 of us. So the firstborn, the secondborn is, of course, you'll understand that, and the thirdborn. So now, ours was a different case, because it was a matter of now a hen. So if you perform well, you know what you'll eat. If you are the worst performer, you belong to
Yeah, I understand.
you understand.
Yeah.
So sometimes you'd maybe you'd participate in maybe chasing the hen and doing every other thing, and of course the last bit is you watching others enjoy the meal. So that was also another way of it is motivating you, because you can just imagine if I don't perform, this is what I'll be doing. So it's another way of motivation. So just before I give out my voucher, before I give the final digits, are there any benefits, according to you now? Are there any benefits of the parent involving themselves in this education thing?
Yes, there are a lot of benefits because one, they are able to sharpen the career path of their kids. Because without that motivation, without them following up with their schoolwork, uh, you will see that the child may not perform well, and that may end up ruining their maybe their career path. And then another thing, the parents being actively involved in their kids' education simply boosts the confidence of this child. The child becomes self aware, and then they identify themselves and know that this is what I'm expected to do. And then also, you see that when these parents are actively involved, the child knows that my parent is investing in me and will work hard towards not failing you as a parent. But when the parents leave their role and maybe decide to let the child deal with the teacher and the teacher deal with the learner, that is where we register these uh, not so pleasing performances.
I think I will not add anything. Rather, the parents now should stick to what you've actually advised, because the moment they get involved actively, then of course the benefits won't. Everyone will see the benefits,
Yeah.
and of course it will actually help the kids in becoming better citizens. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me now to give you the last digits of my airtime. That is Safaricom voucher. Now this is 3797. 3797. Or I should now start afresh. So we have 77598537 5946 3797. Congratulations to all our winners, and make sure you comment. The winners should always comment for the Airtel voucher and the Safaricom voucher.
So, as we sum up, you as a parent, you're supposed to see your child's education as an investment. And so you have to actively participate and stop the blame game. Bye. See you in our next episode.